Hi, everybody. Hi, Serenade. Good to see you on here too. Muriel. Hi, Elias. Hi, Cheryl. There we go. I'm going to give people a couple minutes. We'll be on Jewish time here a little bit, a little bit. Um, how is everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Thumbs up. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's good to go over good memories, which I'm happy to do today, and then maybe a Bissell dreaming for future good memories.
Being alive, me, I'm interested in what the group's take on of Anglo Jewry is.
I know, I know. Well, you've got the group can tell you. I'm going to do a little walkthrough. This is like the high-tech version of showing your slides. But I'll sort of talk through a little bit, and I've got all a good chunk of the group here that can reflect, and then there's folks here who didn't come and who were just curious, so that's really cool too. And as Marcia and I know, even I talked to people in this room about what a future 2026 trip might look like as well. So this is a nice overview, and then I'll give chance for people who went on the trip to give reflections of what the sort of the most meaningful moments were for them, and then I'll let you in on sort of my thought process regarding 2026. Of course, the world is an ever-changing phenomenon, but and man tracht und Gott lacht, but that doesn't mean man shouldn't tracht. Very good. This is almost a Mantracht und Gottlach trip for many reasons because we were advertising it during October 7th and all this other horrible stuff that was going on. The world was, in turmoil, but we still really went and had what I hope is a really not just contributed to us, but to our British Jewish brethren, our Anglo-Jewish brethren on the ground.
To go to Liverpool to that Shul Princess Road is unbelievable.
I'm going to let Serenade report on that because she got to go. She got to go on that.
That was my grandparents' shul.
Oh, very nice.
Oh,
Very nice.
my favorite part about that shul was the mixed choir.
Yeah, see, I think it's the only one in an Orthodox shul left. There used to be so many.
And if anyone wants to know the story,
Yes, we can tell it.
so we went. Where's Marcia?
Marcia's not able to come on today, but I'm holding down the fort.
Okay, so we went to services there. It is, of course, Orthodox, and all of a sudden we hear a choir, and it's women and men, which was quite unusual for an Orthodox synagogue. And we had a little conversation afterwards with the leaders, and we met two of the female choir members who told us the story that during World War II, all the men who were in the choir went off to fight in the war. And the women learned all the music and served as the cantors in the choir for the congregation. And when the men returned, they said, "Thank you very much for your service." And the women said, "We are not going anywhere." And so they have about the only mixed choir in an Orthodox congregation. Oh, and Susan, you were there. Hi, Susan.
Yes, hi.
Hi. Yes. So that's the story with the mixed choir.
In the heyday, the choir was absolutely 3 or 4 times the size, and there was some great personalities in the choir, and the choir master was the famous composer Saki, who composed the Yigdal for the festivals, which I don't know if you sing it in America, but it's one of the most beautiful tunes. It's available on YouTube, so maybe if they didn't sing it on a Friday night, you might get acquainted with it, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Which one is it, Matt? Which tune is that, Saki?
I don't know that one actually very well. That's the one. Saki is the one composer I don't know especially well.
Really, everybody sings it. People stopped singing, and then Naftali Herstig loved it so much that he brought it to Finchley Synagogue, and it became a regular thing. And then they sing it on for Shlosh Galim and sometimes Yomim Narayim.
Can you put it in? Can you put this in the chat so we can access this information?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm gonna get started. Let me just get my screen share thing up here so that I can share my slides as we do. So I want to thank again the Jewish Collaborative of Orange County for not just organizing this half. I would call this as a half reunion because I'm looking out and seeing so many folks who were so privileged to join on this trip, and other folks who are curious about what we did, and so this is both, which is so wonderful. And again, I want to thank the collaborative and Marcia in absentia for making this together with Israel experts with Esther possible. It was a really a bucket list trip for me. And hi to the Edingers. Welcome. It's good to see your faces again. So I'm gonna really just take a walk down memory lane with all of you for some of you, and at the end of this, I'll let folks who went on the trip sort of give their highlights, what they're really taking away from it, and then I also answer questions if folks have questions. And then I will sort of let slip a little of what I'm thinking for 2026, and you can poke and prod me because it's not set in stone by any means. It's just that we had such a good time, and let's do it again. All right. All right. Oh, and my daughter has come to say hi. Yes, you can have that, honey. Okay, bye-bye. Mwah. Have a good lesson. Here at my in-laws' house. Now that you know that. Very good. All right, she'll share the screen. Here we go. Okay. 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 Can you see? All right.
Yes.
Good. All right. Let me just actually let me stop it for just a minute. I have to adjust just one thing on here. I just want to show you only the slide. There we go. Now I am.
Hold, please.
So, just a moment.
Yeah.
As they say in Britain, bear with. There we go. So this trip was really an excursion to Jewish Great Britain, celebrating Anglo-Jewish music and culture. I'm gonna do one last thing, which is close the door to this room. Then I will talk. I promise. So many of you are on it. I'm just going to walk you through a couple of the things we did. I was sitting, I was reflecting after this trip and trying to give a name to what these type of tour experiences are. And I think if I quit my day job of being an academic and had a business, I would call these living Jewish music tours. Why? Because it's about living Jews. There are many trips you can go on where you're going to visit graves and visit sites of atrocities and visit all that stuff. And that's important for us to remember, super important. But I've loved the opportunity that we had on this trip to visit 6 different Jewish communities who are living and trying to thrive, and just to give them a big hug and some chizuk, some strength in these difficult times, while celebrating both their past and present. So let me take you on through. There we go. All right. This our first day. We were, if you guys recall, some of you recall, we went to the British Museum. Rabbi Jeremy Gordon, pictured here on the right, gave us a lovely tour of really a biblical tour to give us a sense of the real antiquities that give voice to some of the things in the Torah, personalities, pharaohs from the Torah, what it means to write on the doorposts of your house. These are the doorpost inscriptions from the biblical era. And we had some great music, which that evening at his synagogue, which our cantors participated in and sang beautifully. I'll play you a little bit of it here.
We did?
All right. I hope you can feel what I felt, which is that it was very meaningful to put on events, lectures, concerts for the British Anglo-Jewish community, and that I had such a great group of menschedick and talented cantors with me, singing: Cantor David Perper, Cantor Jessica Silverberg, Cantor Faith Steinschneider, Cantor Elias Ruchvard, Cantor Marcia Tilchin. We had also Yoav Oved there, and David Gemmel as well from there. It was just, and of course Cantor Neil Newman, who came the next day. Neil, you missed this, but I'm glad you can see it now. We had just a great group that was just made. Added their talents, added their neshama and their kavana and their music to so many places we went. So that was very special. And then we also got to hear the string quartet. I have just 30 seconds of the Hanover Square Quartet that did a program of music of the Jewish Enlightenment, settings of, and these are all for string quartet, things that really captured the Jewish story of trying to make it in a society previously that was excluded to them, and trying to make it as Jews while also contributing to the artistic life of that society. This is a little bit of, I believe, just there, a little 30 seconds of their quartet. Very nice. All right. The next day, after our day in in sort of central London at New London Synagogue, sorry, there we go. We went to first start our second day on Thursday at JW3. This is the Jewish Community Center, and we had a really wonderful welcome. This is Raymond Simonson on the left there, telling us how really the community has become the center there is on the busiest road in London, and has become a really important place, not for Jews to be quieter, but to be louder, and and to be more present in society. You can see I got this little clip. They just put up this huge mural depicting Jewish community life. This is about 0.1% of it. It is stories tall outside JW3, depicting so many Jews involved in Jewish life today, including some of the people we met. And then this, they have this beautiful memorial to the not memorial, but beautiful memory, remembrance of the hostages with these locks that are on the bridge into the building itself. So it's really beautiful to be at one of the real centers of trying to promote Jewish. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I have to give my keys to my. That's right. The shoes are in there. Very good. All right. Moving along, so that was JW3, and then after our time at JW3, we went to Leo Baeck College, which is where liberal Jews are trained in Britain, and they have one of the most amazing collections of Jewish music, the Victor Tunkel collection in Britain. Really, it's an exceptional collection. We were looking at originals of Naumburg, originals of Sulzer, handwritten manuscripts from great British cantors of many generations. And Cassie Sachar, who was the librarian there, has just finished cataloging this whole thing. This is ripe for people to study. It is really a new collection to be made available, and we really were right there at the beginning of its complete cataloging, and hopefully it will be studied and expand our understanding of Anglo-Jewish music traditions for years to come. So that was really special. Okay, let's move on to the next slide if I can. Boop, there we go. We moved on. We went to a beautiful concert at New North London Synagogue, and we really had a wonderful opportunity after that to meet just some really special people. We met two cantors in town, Cantor Tamara Hope Wolfson, who grew up in New York and now works in London. We also met Cantor Zoe Jacobs, who was the first ordained, Faith's former student, or was the first ordained female cantor in Britain, in British history. She's actually on that mural that you saw a little bit of. And she just became the the head spiritual leader of her community, officially Reformed Synagogue, and so she came to our dinner and really, like an amazing clergy person, came and spoke to every single person who was there. It was very special. And then we met also with Ivor Jacobs, the son of Rabbi Louis Jacobs, who was the inspiration for the development of the Masorti movement. And we got a wonderful in-depth history of the Masorti movement in Britain. So, again, very special personal moments with all of these people, which is, again, that's why this living Jewish music tours, that's what it's all about. And I can tell that Faith is very happy seeing her student in this picture. Then we went to the Globe. We got to see probably one of the best productions of Much Ado About Nothing I have ever attended. It was fabulous, despite the treacherous stairs on the way up and down to the riverbank. But we made it and had a great time. On Friday, we got a walking tour of the old Jewish district, where the Jews when Jews were allowed back in Britain in the mid and late 17th century, first settled in Creechurch Lane, and this is on the left here, Bevis Marks Synagogue, where from dates to 1701. It's the oldest, I believe, synagogue in Britain actively in use for over 300 years. Very special, and the rabbi is from Rochester, where I work for high holidays and regularly. It was very special. Some of you, hi David, we're saying hi to everybody. Now this is something I visited, but you may not have visited. We really didn't. When you think of Jews in Britain, often we think of, often at least I think of the issues of anti-Semitism that are faced, especially with some of the really strong anti-Israel and anti-Zionist and often anti-Jewish demonstrations that occur in central London on Saturdays. And we were actually staying there. We didn't have any issues except for one, which I'll tell you later, which was just an anti-Semitic bus driver. I'll tell you now, it's an anti-Semitic bus driver who wouldn't take our luggage off at the end. But that was the worst of it. But nearby where we were staying, this was a thing that had been tagged by anti-Semites and thrown like red paint on it, and immediately Barclays had kind of boarded it up so that to not give them good press. But the rest of our time, other than that, was very safe, with wonderful warm welcomes, no issues at all, and I was very happy about that. I wasn't expecting us to have any issues like that, but I'm glad we were at least aware, because we really want to support all of our Jewish brethren in whatever they're going through. On Saturday, I have no pictures from Saturday. These are places we went. We had a wonderful Friday night at New London. We were at Belsize Square in the morning for Shabbat morning. We were at Lauderdale Road in the evening, a Sephardic Orthodox in the evening. Had a wonderful long chat with Rabbi Dweck, who was the chief Sephardic rabbi of Britain. But I can show you, because it's live streamed, a little of the experience we had I also had on Saturday morning, leading with the blessing of the cantor at Belsize Square, a choral Musaf. This, for those of you who don't know, Belsize Square is one of the few liberal synagogues in Europe. That is to say that it follows the German liberal tradition, and it uses a very specific type of traditional liturgy with cantor, choir, and organ, with what are called canonicals, with the robes. And Cantor Heller, who I had met in Hanover with Alex 4 years ago, did me the honor of letting me lead with the canonicals on. So I'll play just a little bit of that just to jog folks' memory and to show you what it's like with a choir and with an organ on Shabbat. I will tell you, this is with no rehearsal, but I was very, very blessed that Cantor Heller generously threw me the keys to his davening car. I won't show you the silent Amidah. I'll show you a little more about the choir. They come in the Kedusha. Yeah. You can watch more of it on YouTube. That was a nice. I was a fly by my Talis experience, but it was a meaningful experience, and I know for a lot of us who really enjoy choral music as part of worship, it was super special. It was just super special. I had the can. Yes. Oh, the previous slide. Elias telling me that the previous slide had the Canned Ham building. Yes, the British have lots of names. This building is called the Canned Ham. Which is right by the old Jewish districts. That is still tough, but what are you going to do? So the next day, we went to Henry VIII's old house, which is not so much a house, it's a palace. It's Hampton Court Palace. It was gorgeous. And really, this was a special also because this is where some of the earliest Jews, even before they were technically allowed back into the country, Sephardic Jews who were expert musicians were imported to Britain by Henry VIII because for his third wife, he wanted to give her the best of music, the best of culture, and the Venetian Jewish, both string players and woodwind players were known, had a reputation for being the best. And so there's some of the earliest Jews who made it in, and they spent time in this very palace. Very cool. Let me have to move this in order to, there we go. In the afternoon of that day on Sunday, we went to the British Library, and they have a wonderful little room of treasures because the British Library has treasures from all over, wherever the British were, when they had a big empire at one time. This is our first folio of Shakespeare here on the left. And then we went to a magnificent performance of Carmina Burana together with Shostakovich's Third Symphony. Both of which are, I think, incredibly beautiful and very subversive pieces. They're very much against like Western morality and things like that, but they are unbelievably charismatic. And so that was a very, very memorable evening. If you're curious, I've written an essay about that experience because it definitely left an impression on me. Then off we went. We had a nice little walking tour of the West End of London, a Jewish tour, and then we went to my old haunt of Oxford, where I spent 2 months in 2020, between January and March 2020, a very just that middle moment before COVID, and then off we went. But we went to the Ashmolean Museum, their Antiquities Museum, and had a lovely dinner in a formerly Jewish coffee house. It was founded in 1654 by a Syrian Jew named Sirk Yobson. And then the evening we made a lecture for their local community, where I gave a little lecture on Anglo-Jewish musical traditions from the earliest century of the resettlement. We had a wonderful time walking around Oxford the next day. We went punting on the little canals, around Oxford. We got to go to, I think it wasn't Balliol, it was Trinity College next to Balliol College, and got to see some of the beautiful architecture there. This was super cool, and I have clips from this. We went to the Bait Collection, which is basically an instrumental petting zoo. So there's 2,000 period instruments in this museum, and Miss Isabel Carre was very, very gracious to let us play a couple of them, just to try them out. Here's an old viol.
Oh, I see. You're gonna have to do the lower string.
18th century viol, just trying it out. And now here's a tryout. One of us trying out a serpent. I'm going to give Ari a job for Rosh Hashanah with that one. And then they even have in this place, this is me plunking out little bits of Rachel Quand du Seigneur by Offenbach, by Halevi from Zhuiv, on a keyboard that was played once by Handel. Not well. So Handel may be rolling over in his grave. A Jew played his former keyboard poorly, a song about Jews. But no, what are you going to do? It was such an amazing experience to really have your hands on these instruments. You just don't. That's a very unique experience to be able to touch them and play them up close. All right, this. We went to the Rothschild's house over here. Those who remember, some of you remember the long walks. Mea maxima culpa on that one. You can blame me. But it was a beautiful place. The Rothschilds really knew how to try to establish themselves as aristocrats by buying up all of the furniture and possessions of old European continental aristocrats. So Maria Antoinette's furniture and, famous desks from famous barons and playwrights. I think it was the desk of, what is, someone's going to tell me the name of the guy who wrote like the libretto for like the Barber of Seville stuff. Not the libretto, but the original, not Champollion. Someone put it in the chat, so I remember. There were tons of stuff there. You can see how the Jewish family tried to establish itself. There is a mezuzah on the premises that the last Baron de Rothschild, put on. And again, it's just a very ornate and lovely house, Jewish country house to be able to see. And of course, for those of us who went, there's an Israeli place, a Israeli bakery. We went to a area with shops. The only picture I have is that there's a famous guy named Yotam Ottolenghi, who's an Italian Jewish cook. And so I brought home a nice cookbook for my wife called Jerusalem from there. But again, we got to go shopping, which was nice. It's always good to go shopping at least once. The next day was our final day, and I have a little bit of video from this, but not the video I want yet. We went to the Taylor Schechter Geniza at Cambridge University Library, where we got to experience some manuscripts and the story of the Cairo Geniza, which was discovered first by two Scottish Presbyterian ladies at Cambridge, and who shared it with their Jewish friend, Solomon Schechter. So again, two outsiders come together to bring together one of the most transformative finds in the history of Jewish studies. And so we got to look at some of those things, including things like that we sang that night, Obadiah Hager, thanks to David and Faith. We got to hear them sing that 1,000-year-old manuscript of notated Hebrew music. And thanks to Jessica, we got to hear a little bit of Lidarti Esther, which was rediscovered in 1997, originally composed in 1794. But here's a little, before we got to do any of that singing, there's a little of Dr. Vanessa Paloma Elbaz, who works on Moroccan Jewish music. And she really has been the trusted recipient of hours and hours of oral traditions from this community that majority of them moved to Israel, but some of them are still there in Casablanca and other places in Morocco, and she's really preserving their legacy and their songs. Here's her singing one of the songs that she has helped to preserve.
Una ella tiene el rey, y una ella regalada, su padre por más valor un castillo la fraguara, de ventanas a la mar, por donde el aire entraba, por donde entraba el sol, y el aire de la mañana. La más chiquita de ellas entran caminan y salen con las dos alas abiertas y no le hace ningún mal. Volando están camisones para ellos a la reina, bordándole está con oro y labrándole está con seda.
It was a beautiful song. And really just, it's so wonderful when you meet people that really feel just deeply invested, not just in music, but in the people whose music they are carrying. And that is Vanessa. So we were very happy to be a part of that and to support her institute, which is called Hoya, which is dedicated to preserving Moroccan Jewish music. I think that is all of my slides. That evening, of course, we had a wonderful concert. I am still looking for my video of some of the wonderful things that we premiered, which included some of those things I mentioned, the Ovadia Hager manuscript, the Lidarti Esther. We had a very sort of British Jewish focused program, and we got to premiere re-premiere the Hebrew Psalms by Marcus Haas that were done for Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee, her 50-year jubilee. So that is a 30-minute rush through 9 days of an amazing trip. We also got to go at the end to Liverpool and experience Prince's Road and experience the area up there and the Manchester area as well. And I just want to, before I open the floor, say thank you to everyone. I see so many people from our trip, some of whom had to deal with the source of having COVID and dealing with that and not getting to go to some of this, some to go to some of this. I hope this was fulfilling to see what you might have missed, and just happy to see everybody here. I want to give, if there are folks, thank you, Elias, for putting Beaumarchais there. For folks who went on the trip, I want to give you each, if you want to go around and say just one, memory that you have that we'll keep with you, something that was most special for you personally, and then we'll open it up to questions, and I'll talk a little bit about 2026. Cantor Purper, please, David.
The leadership on the tour was fantastic. Your scholarship was amazingly impressive. But I have to say, for me, the highlight, I think, was the Globe Theater. I'm never going to stop buzzing from that performance. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you, David. That was a really top. That was really tops. Elias and then Susan. Elias, you have to unmute.
I agree with what has been said about the Globe Theater. It was like you're stepping back into Shakespeare's day. But the other thing that I found very exciting was in the Leo Baeck College. I am not such a scholar that manuscripts had more than passing appeal to me, but just to be surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of books all about Jewish music, I had no idea there were that many books about Jewish music.
That was definitely amazing. Susan, go ahead. Then Ria.
I find that I'm still thinking about details of the trip and remembering little things, and that's very different for me than many of the trips I've been on. So it was really special. The fragments from the Cairo Geniza still give me goosebumps. It was spectacular. And thank you for all the details you arranged.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Very, very welcome. Ria and then Sarah and Neil.
So the Moroccan music, the woman, and I forgot her name, but I had looked it up online, and we can access all her music that she's uncovered. And the thing is that she sang a song that was a sort of a bring health to the pregnant woman whose water has broken. It's a very dangerous time. And so the emotional part of and these are the Arab Jews, they're not the Sephardic. And it was in a building that was restored from which century? It's a Tudor.
It was a 16th century building. I think it was the brew house. Yes.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. And also our time in the Globe Theater with Shakespeare, we were so bad. We behaved so poorly, and it was unbelievable fun. So it just went from, emotional, swung in all kinds of emotional ways. And thank you. And the next time we go, not to go in the summer, but in a shoulder part of a season, so it wouldn't be as crowded. And what do you think?
We could talk about suggestions. Actually, for those of you who went on the trip, Marcia just sent out a survey with asking for all of your reflections so that we can keep the best, do more of what was great and do
Yeah.
less of what was less great.
Because
So
we're an
with that.
we're an opinionated bunch,
I'll
right?
You know, it's like, what is it? How many prime ministers? You know, Israel. Thank you, Ria. All right, the Newmans and then the Edingers.
So first of all, I want to amplify what's already been said about the leadership on the tour. You, Matt, did a fantastic job of designing and leading the tour, along with Marcia and Esther. And I think all three of you deserve a lot of credit. So, Tada Rabah. Experiences that, I mean, there's so many fantastic experiences as we've all seen today. But the two that stand out for me was the exposure to the Geniza, the Cairo Geniza. That was really special. Both lectures that we had, and then being able to touch and check the music manuscripts from the Geniza, centuries-old manuscripts. That was very, very much of a highlight. And the London Symphony performance was something really special. And I want to share one thing that many of you were not there for, and that's the experience the five of us had with Esther in Liverpool with the Beatles. But one of the interesting things of that experience is we went to shul on
I told the
Shabbat.
story when you were in the other room.
Oh, I'm
about the
sorry.
choir. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious! I was
It looks like we both
sorry.
like the same thing.
no, but I mean that story. I told it to my congregation here in Sarasota. Also, the story of men's choir, Orthodox synagogue, World War II. The men were away. The women took over. Men came back and said, "Okay, you're relieved of your duty," and the women said, "No, we're not. We're staying." And they have a mixed choir to this very day. That was really something really special to share.
Yeah, instead of Rosie the Riveter, Rosie the Davener.
There you go.
Very good. The Edingers and Louise. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Serenade. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No, I was
interrupt.
just going to say, I echo everything that Neil said, and also how kind everybody was to each other. And especially our David Perper, who was there to make sure everybody got on and off the bus exactly right. And he was absolutely terrific. But he was really special, really. So thank you to everyone for being so kind to one another.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, David was an MVP, totally. Okay, the Edingers, go ahead.
I'm going to add to what the Newman said about the manuscripts. If we hadn't been on a tour with you, Matt, or all the Cantors, we would never have an opportunity to look at these pieces and to touch them and to reminisce about the different pieces and what they did and the music. And even watching you, Matt, sing one of the pieces from the music, that was very, very moving. I forgot the other one already. Well, I'll just let everybody else talk.
My highlight was the vegan Indian meal.
It was really good.
Oh, I know what it was. Spending the time with the Cantors and then to watch them sing and perform. David, you've got it. And that was very moving and very exciting. We don't often have that opportunity. So it was a very good addition to the tour.
I find it hard to point out a specific highlight. It was just such an amazing conglomeration of architecture, of art, of music, of camaraderie. It was just a wonderful, wonderful overall experience.
And it's so good to see you all again.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good. This is so great to have so many.
Can I say something, Matt? Can I say something?
I want to let my group go around. Then I do want you to say something at the end. So hold on.
No problem.
Louise, you're next.
I want to echo what everybody else said and how much I enjoyed meeting everybody there. And I am so sorry that I had to leave the trip early. And I just really regret that that happened, and hope to meet up with you again sometime. Thank you to everybody for all that was done and for making this such an amazing experience.
Thank you, Louise. I hope you're continuing to feel better.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Anyone else from our trip people? Muriel, please.
All the things, of course, that everybody has said, I enjoyed it all. I loved the walking tours, which gave us a feel of community, a feel of where we were, and a feel of place. And of particular note for me was the British Museum and the rabbi showing us the Book of Isaiah and the actual map that the British actually stole from from the area and put up, but we got to see it, and it just enlivened. You could just see our history rolled out in front of us. I found that very moving, and the Geniza was beyond belief a thrill to be able to actually look and see Hebrew words that I could actually read from what, the 12th century. I felt that was beyond any expectation I had. And thank you, Matt, and of course Esther and Marcia for the leadership you've shown and the kindness for all our picayune details that we presented to you, that you handled with grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Muriel. Cheryl and Cheryl and Bruce, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could pick out one thing. The whole trip was amazing. The weather was no rain for 10 days in London. I can't believe that. The people were great. Everything we saw, we were going from 8 to 8 at night or 9 or 10 at night. And all the special things that you set up were just wonderful. We wouldn't have been able to do that on our own. You had such contacts and it was just wonderful, everything. So, Bruce, do you at the Rothschild house? I love seeing that.
Oh, I would just add that I also enjoyed seeing the various different Jewish communities and how vibrant they are. I was very impressed by that.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Everyone from our group that wanted to say something, say something? Okay, if so, I want to throw things open for a couple minutes for people who have questions about the trip or about just things in general that we covered, and then in the last 7 minutes, I'll sort of give my I only have 2 shekels to give you on 2026. Alex, go ahead.
Okay, I was so pleased to meet a few of you in Manchester. It was a shame that I couldn't connect. It was great to see Marcia, who I've met for the first time, and to see Esther again, your guide, who I remember when she was born. So we did a trip down memory lane and took her to Bury Synagogue, where her father was the minister, and then she went to the graves of her grandparents and to the house where she was born, and then she came to our house, and we dug up some old photos of her as a baby and some, playing with my children because they're of similar ages, and then we phoned her mum in Israel, so it was a lovely experience. But to meeting your group at the Manchester Jewish Museum was, to me, something very, very special. You meet people online, you have a rapport with them, but it is, for me, the experience to be able to meet, even though it was only a few of you, I will never forget. It's always in my mind, and you make friends this way, and it's not just friends for the trip. Hopefully it's friends for life, and you reconnect and everything. I mean, I remember when we first talked about it, doing this trip, and as I say, I met Matt, I think a few years ago in Hanover. I think it was the first time physically, and where we've always remained friends, and it's I listen to his podcast, I come online and listen to Marsha, and this connection is very, very important to me. So from my heart, I have to thank all of you. Some of you I haven't met yet, but I will do. And also it's a shame because I wanted to reconnect with my friend Faith, who I first met in 1998 singing in Carnegie Hall at the Cantor's convention there, and we're still in connection. But it was her wonderful piece of Rosa de Chabas, which she sang so beautifully. And these highlights and these things you'd never forget. So thank you for being my friends. Thank you for allowing me to participate with you. It's a great honor, and I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions about Anglo Jewry or anything like that, please get in touch, no matter what the question is, and I will try and help you and answer the questions. And if you're coming again to England and you're having a trip and you're passing Manchester, let's catch up, let's get together, and you're very, very welcome, all of you.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Yes, and Alex is truly an expert on all things Anglo Jewry. So do reach out to him. Any other questions on the trip or from the floor? The floor. It's like it's a town hall. Well, let me just let you in. This was a very, very positive experience, and Marcia and I have already talked about doing it again in some form in 2026. So I will tell you, and this is on Facebook, so I guess I'm telling a lot of people, that one of the, and some people here know this, one of the places I'm thinking about for 2026 is the Netherlands. And the reason for that is a couplefold. I like where we go to be, where there are liberal and majority communities and communities of all backgrounds that we can pray with and contribute to their life. And there is in Amsterdam the entire gamut from renewal, liberal, majority, Orthodox, Sephardic. There's everybody there. So there's a real opportunity to connect with our Jewish brothers and sisters on the ground. So that's number one. Number two is that for those of you who had this England experience, know that the English Jewish experience was was brought about because of the Amsterdam one. Really, the Amsterdam was the mother community of the British Sephardic and then eventually the British Ashkenazic community in the 17th and 18th centuries. So a lot of the things you see, like the synagogue, the Great Synagogue and the synagogue in London, were based on those in Amsterdam. And they had some of the same sort of cantorial rivalries in both areas. So there's a lot of great history there. And it also happens to be that I happen to know people there. I have two colleagues there right now, three, who I think would be really wonderful for us to see. My friend Paul Feller-Simmons, I hope he's still there when we're there, is right now writing his dissertation on early modern Sephardic Jewish music, and has done work in archives in Amsterdam, and he actually has been involved with me in putting together conferences on Jewish early music, actually in America, this coming April, Kenahara, in UCLA. So those of you who are in California might see me, God willing, late April of next year. So Paul is in there. I have a colleague also named Ian Pomerantz, who is a Geiger college student, a Geiger College cantorial student, a PhD student at the Sorbonne studying modern Sephardic music in Portugal and Spain, and is a longtime singer, a bass baritone soloist with the Washington Bach Consorts. So he is another really interesting, and a wonderful cook as well. Wonderful character who I would love, if we're able to be in the Netherlands, he'll probably still be stationed there, God willing. Also, my advisor, Dr. Diana Matut, is not so far away, a couple hours away in Essen in Germany, and she has an ensemble called Simchat HaNefesh, which is a Jewish early music improvisational Baroque band, and they are fantastic. So these are just little bits of dreams about what going to Amsterdam, to the Netherlands could look like. But there are other possibilities. There's possibilities in Italy where I know some people and that we could have a similarly positive experience. But it's not limited. These are just little pipe dreams now. But I really hope that one of them will become a reality. Ria, you have a question.
I just want to mention your podcast. It's really good. And I'm learning some things that I may not retain it in my brain, but it's really good. So thank you.
Thank you, Ria. Thank you for the plug. This is my Ria's talking about my Substack, which you can actually, I'm putting it in the chat for those who are interested. I just today I celebrated this month the 1 year anniversary of writing once a week about Jewish music. So it's been 54 weeks now, and if you're interested, I just put together a subject guide to the whole thing, so you can see all the different things by subject, so you don't have to like scroll through 1,000 things. I've sort of made a Shulchan Aruch for people. Good. Other questions or comments? Alex, David, yes, please.
The one Orthodox service that we went to, was that in Oxford or Cambridge?
That was in London.
Louder
Just
than the
looking
road,
for
I think.
just looking for opportunities that we can all pray together.
For sure.
As opposed to separated. That was just a very difficult moment for me. But everything else I'm open to. That was just a difficult moment.
I'm laughing because you had a fireworks come on in your display.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
I don't know how was that, yeah, but
Can I ask you a question? Important that when you govern in different movements that you belong to in the States, you don't finish the services out loud like the Orthodox do. So did you have an opportunity, besides, I think Belsize Square does, but usually finish at the end of Kedusha Musaf and the rest is silent, and then you go on to Enkele, Heino, and Adonallah. If I'm correct, I might not be, but that's my presumption. So when I meet cantors who study at the Cantor at the schools, they say what troubles them is that what they learn and the tunes and everything, they very, very rarely get the chance of singing those in a temple, in a synagogue. How do you feel about that? Because it's something that I'm not quite sure of the reaction of the congregation or the reaction of people, around America with the idea of finishing silent prayer and then not completing the full service, where when we had our Reform friends and our Conservative friends, Masorti, our conventions, we allowed them to daven, and the highlight for them was being able to sing and go through the whole of the services of Musaf, which they don't normally do, because it's something that they learn. I mean, what's the feeling there?
I'll tell you, Alex. I think the issue here is not having to do with that specifically. It's just that the Orthodox being separate was probably not comfortable for everybody, certainly. Right. For a number of us, and also that this particular, it was beautiful in its own way. It was a very, very, very fast davening of everything, and for those of us who are coming on a music trip where you want to be in the words, there's no time to be in any of the words for Mincha Maariv at a Spanish Portuguese at this particular experience. So
okay.
I'll let you say your piece, and then we'll wrap this one up briefly because we're getting towards our end of our time.
Sorry, David.
David, go ahead.
No worries at all. I think Matt basically said it, and to say that they were davening or reading Torah at high speed is an understatement. Like it was
the Audubon.
Most of it was absolutely unintelligible. I won't say anymore.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's one of my bugbears. Somebody comes to heaven, meets God, and God goes and talks to him, goes blah, 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 and the guy at heaven says, I don't understand the word you're saying. So God says to him, well, all my life I've been listening to you and I haven't understood a word that you've been saying. I mean, I think that sums it up.
I'll close this subject with an old joke from 300 years ago. There's a halacha that the cantor is supposed to read their words like they are counting coins, like 1, 2, 3, very distinct, so that you know what you're saying and you give attention to each one. And so in 1718, Rabbi Shlomo Lifshitz writes, this is actually a good rationale to pay a cantor a decent salary. Why? because he has to have experience of counting coins. He has to be experience of counting coins long enough to do the entire service. He has to know what he's doing. So you should give him enough money so that he can do that. He can have a good experience. He can have a good thing to base the halacha on. Well, very good. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is such a pleasure to see everybody. And I hope to see you guys again soon. I'm going to be out in California, I hope in April. That's a while from now for the Californians. And I'm going to be in Sarasota in February, I think. I have to figure out the date, November or February, but sometime in there. But please stay tuned. There's going to be, I hope in the next 6 months, some more concrete information about what 2026 is going to look like for this potential trip. And please, for those of you who are on the trip with us, please do fill out the survey that Rabbi Marcia sent yesterday. It was just a little separate announcement about this session, but there's also a survey about your experience, your highlights, things that were more difficult, what we should think about for the future. We really want your input and information.
Stay on the tour.
No. Make sure you notify all of us when you're in California.
I will. I will say the tentative date is April 27th. The conference has not been officially announced. But when it's more formalized, I will let you all know. But that's the time period I'm shooting for. All right, everybody. Oh yes, Rosalie, you have a question?
I have a statement. I was not on this trip, but I am so glad I came today because Susan did a devar about the trip on Saturday, Susan Glass. And with your filling in, what she may not have done, and she was incredible. But this was so good for me. I couldn't make the trip. I had a bar mitzvah in Israel at the time. I'm so happy. It's one of those few lectures where you're an outsider, but you just learn so much from it. So thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. I'm so glad that you were able to hear Susan in her drosha, and thank you for sharing.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
You. Okay, everybody. Have a great day.
So much.
And let's all be in touch. Thank you again to the Jewish Collaborative for hosting.